What's going on, my homies? Jolt here from TheTokenMinorities, and I am back with the Week 2 upload of GBA Season 9, where your KC Jirachiefs are taking on the man who kicked me straight out of the GBA D-League in Season 3. That is RandyHLD Productions. Make sure to go check out Randy. He's going to be linked down in the description below. Awesome guy. Love him to death. One of my favorite people in the league, honestly. And I think he makes solid content too, in all honesty. So make sure to go give him a look. Check out his battle. I believe he's live coming. So I hope you will enjoy that as well. Now with that said, I want to give a quick shout out to AA Around 2420 once again for recording my game for me. And now let's dive right on into the team previews. So my man Randy decided to bring the Suicune, Hippowdon, Roserade, Infernape, Evoltal, and the Megalodios. Just an absolutely terrifying team preview. As far as what I am bringing here in this game, make sure to check out the team builder, going to be linked down in the description below as always, where I'll go over the full strategy for this matchup in depth. And yeah, so hope you enjoy that. Make sure to check that out. But with that said, just a very brief overview of what I'm bringing. I am bringing Hazard Stack plus Scarf Magearna. Trying to win this game with a Scarf Magearna. Just looking at what he brought, he has exactly one Fairy Resist, so that's definitely something we can potentially do here in this game. I'm packing Stealth Rock, Mega Aerodactyl with Edgequake and Taunt. Manaphy is a knockoff U-turn set with Scald and Toxic. Magearna's Choice Scarf. Groudon is SD, Edgequake, or I guess it's going to actually be Edge Precipice Blades, and Toxic. And then Mew is Nasty Plot, 2 attacks plus Roost, and then Scolipede is Spikes, 3 attacks with Buginium Z. So a pretty solid offensive team that I'm bringing with some bulky pivots, just a classic Jolt build, and we'll just kind of have to see how it matches up here against Randy. But just kind of looking at what he brought here at team preview, he brought a lot of the mons I expected. I was a little surprised to not see the Metagross in this matchup. I thought the Metagross made a little bit more sense, both as a Stealth Rocker and also as a Magearna response, as by bringing Roserade, I think you really potentially leave yourself open to something like a Shift Gear Magearna winning the game relatively easily. But he did bring the Roserade, so that means it probably has some sort of way to help him deal with a potential setup Magearna. So that's just something I need to be very careful about here as I enter this game. But even so, it looks like his rocker is most likely the Hippowdon because he brought it. I don't know if he has removal on his team. As I said in the team builder, I don't necessarily think he's going to be packing removal, but you know, we're going to have to wait and find out. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive right on into this game. As like I mentioned in the team builder, I am absolutely going to be leading off with my Mega Aerodactyl because I know I can take any one hit from absolutely anything on his team. And even if it's this Suicune, which was probably his best possible lead against my Mega Aerodactyl lead, I'll take the Scald. I'll risk the Scald burn because Mega Aerodactyl isn't really necessarily needed offensively in this matchup outside of getting me these guaranteed Stealth Rocks on turn 1. So that's exactly what I'm going to go for here, as I am just going to go ahead and Mega Evolve and click Stealth Rock here, which they are going to go up obviously against the Suicune. We'll see what he decides to go for. Most likely it's just going to be a nice Scald, and that's exactly what he does. We'll see if I get burned here. Fortunately, I do not get burned, so we lucked out there a little bit. That would have been pretty unfortunate if we got burned, but again, not the end of the world considering Mega Aerodactyl's role in this matchup. Now I'm just going to go into my Manaphy, as this might be an opportunity to get a knockoff off against either this or maybe even an incoming Roserade. Unfortunately, he just goes for a substitute, kind of revealing what type of Suicune I'm going to be dealing with here in this matchup. But now expecting him to go for either a Calm Mind or maybe a Toxic, I'm just going to go hard into my Mew because in either situation, I believe I beat this thing 1v1 at this point. So I'm just going to go straight into my Mew. He does just pop off a Toxic, which is perfectly fine with me because I do have the Synchronize, which in case you guys didn't know, you'll see now Synchronize actually allows the Toxic to go through the Suicune substitute. So that's really, really nice for me here for sure. The Suicune has already chipped away a nice 20% of its own health from its substitute, and now it's going to be Toxic Poisoned as well. So what I'm just going to do in this situation is go straight for a Nasty Plot just to start to pressure him a little bit. He doesn't really have the best switch-ins to Mew, quite honestly, especially if I go ahead and get up that +2. The best thing he can really do here is just try to scald me and try to wear me down, while simultaneously wearing himself down essentially with his own Toxic. So, you know, I'm totally okay with this for sure. I'm just going to go ahead and click the side shock here on this turn, as it's going to allow me to break his sub, and if he decides to stay in, he's going to take another round of toxic damage, and that's really starting to pile up here on this Suicune that most likely doesn't have any form of recovery now for the rest of the game. So I'm just going to go for the side shock. The Suicune substitute is going to break, and he's going to reveal the roar, which tells me he actually doesn't have Calm Mind on this set, so that's definitely good knowledge to have for later on. As now he's going to roar me into my Magearna. This could be an opportunity to just go straight for a Volt Switch, but I don't really want to reveal my Choice Scarf yet at this point in the game, so I am going to switch out here into my Manaphy once again, and unfortunately he does decide to switch as well, so he's probably now going to be aware that I'm a Choice Scarf Magearna. I tried to disguise it. I didn't think he would necessarily want to switch out. I thought he would just go straight for a Roar in case I went for a setup move, but he switched out, so unfortunately the cat's out of the bag on that one. But either way, I'm going to be able to go into my Manaphy, U-turn on the Roserade, get this thing chipped down a little bit more for my Magearna later on in the game, and now I'm just going to go into my most expendable member, and that is the Mega Aerodactyl, as he does just go straight for the Stun Spore. So that tells me this is probably what he had to deal with the Magearna. He was going to try to Stun Spore me if I ever tried to go for an attacking move, which also means he was probably expecting a Shift Gear Magearna here in this matchup. So that's good news or good information to have for sure. So now I'm just going to go for the Taunt as he sets up a Spike. The Spike is certainly going to be annoying for my team as I opted to not bring removal. But even so, I am just going to go ahead and I'm going to go into my, I think I go into Manaphy here. I'm trying to remember, not Manaphy. I go into Scolipede here rather on the Roserade, expecting him to go for maybe a grass move here in this particular situation. But you know, this isn't too bad either, because now I have my Scolipede in again for free. The Suicune's taken another round of hazards damage in addition to its poison damage, and this is looking like a pretty free Z move. So I am going to go ahead and click the Buginium Z, the Mega Horn, the Z Mega Horn, the Savage Spin Out. I was trying to pick the word out of my brain there for a little bit. The Savage Spin Out's popping off here, and we're going to see Scolipede go in. This was almost a guaranteed knockout depending on his investment. If he is a Max Fizz Def Suicune, he had a chance to live this hit. If he's the Suicune I expect to see, which is enough speed to outspeed my Breloom, then this should be a guaranteed knockout, and that's exactly what ends up happening here. I don't know what his spread was. I'll have to see that from his team builder, but even so, Scolipede able to pick up another KO here on the season, as now he's going to go into his Evoltal. The threat is inside, and you know, I'm pressed with kind of a difficult decision. I could stay in and go for chip damage with my Scolipede, but if he has the Oblivion Wing, he'll basically heal it all back anyways, so I need to sack something off here. Man, Oblivion Wing is so busted, guys. So busted. Anyway, so I'm going to go into my Mega Aerodactyl here on the Oblivion Wing. I probably will be able to take this hit, which is pretty cool, but I definitely won't be able to take two of them. But the fact that I caused him to go for two Oblivion Wings instead of just one means he's going to take extra Life Orb recoil, which this is the type of set that I expected to see from the Evoltal. I don't think I ever actually mentioned that in the team builder, and I meant to. I expected to see a Life Orb Evoltal in this matchup, as Life Orb Sucker Punch is so good against my team, but even so, he's going to take 2 rounds of the Life Orb damage here in the process of taking out my Mega Aerodactyl. But now I can go into an offensive check. That is my Choice Scarf Magearna. He still has to respect the fact that it could be Akaberry, so I do expect him to try to switch out, maybe even sacking off his Roserade here. And if this Roserade is not a max HP, max special defense variant, it should easily be 2-hit KO'd by this Fluor Cannon if I hit, but of course I miss. And you'll see here as this middle part of the battle unfolds how important that miss is. Now I'm going to be forced to switch out. I can't risk my thing getting Stun Spored, so I'm going to be forced to switch out here from my Magearna into my Mew. It should be able to take any one hit from this, and this Mew should still be able to 1v1 the Roserade, but because I'm Toxic, that's not necessarily going to be a free, you know, 1v1ing of the Roserade at all, as I'm going to have this toxic damage kind of stacking up on my team. The fact that he's staying in with his Roserade kind of implies to me that he might be a Pyapaberry, which, I don't know, it's a really tough call. He could very easily be Yachi Berry to help him deal with my Magearna as well. But if this is his only, Fluor Cannon resist, I wouldn't expect him to just sack this outright, I don't know. This sequence of plays didn't make too much sense to me, but as you'll see, it's actually going to work out pretty well for him, as he's going to just keep spamming HP Fire and wearing me down. As I'm finally going to go for an Ice Beam, I made the decision in my head, okay, this thing has to be Pyapa Berry. Why else would he be staying in? And it's Yachi Berry, so I made the wrong call there. That's on me. Unfortunately, though, because of all this, sequence of unfortunate events, really just one unfortunate event with missing the Fluor Cannon, he's going to get up a second spike against my team, and he's also going to be able to trade the Roserade for the Mew, which, yeah, that definitely is not cool, just saying the least. But we are going to be able to knock out the Roserade here, and my Mew is going to also go down in the process. So here it's a bit of a 50-50 of sorts. There's no one Pokemon on my team that matches up well against the remainder of his team, so I'm just going to go into a blanket switching in my Groudon, as Groudon should be able to at least do something against anything that he switches into. And I felt like it kept out his his scariest threats for sure. So he is just going to go into his Hippowdon, which makes a lot of sense too. Now that he got his 2 spikes up, is going to try to just go for probably a Stealth Rock here, just to maximize his hazards. And then the more hazards he sets up, the more dangerous the Infernape in the back is looking against my team, and the Evoltal. Both of them are looking more and more dangerous now as these hazards are stacking up. So it's going to be very tricky in game here for sure. But I think we can still do it here. I just need to weaken down this Hippowdon and then maintain offensive pressure against his team. And if I'm able to do that, then I think I should be able to win the game with the Magearna in the end, especially if my Manaphy is still healthy. So anyways, we are going to land a Toxic on the Hippowdon as he's able to get up his Stealth Rock, so that's kind of a anticipated play. I try to just go for the Precipice Blades to weaken the Groudon into Manaphy range, and we missed that one, so that's awesome as well. But even so, we're going to get Whirlwind into Scolipede. I still have a chance here to get this damage off on the Hippowdon. I just need that chip damage off to get it in guaranteed range of my Manaphy. That's all I'm trying to do here with either of these two plays. Precipice Blades damage against this would have been fantastic, as it would have brought it down probably to around the 60% area after the Toxic Recoil. And I'm going to go for a Mega Horn here, and we're going to miss that one too. So awesome. All right, so I'm not going to get any damage off on the Hippowdon outside of the Toxic damage. So I'm going to lose my Scolipede in the process. So, Pokemon is not fair sometimes. That's the moral of the story here. Pokemon is not a fair game sometimes. And, yeah, it's frustrating to say the least. But anyway, we still are going to try to win this game if we can. But, 3 misses is not helping our cause here whatsoever. So now I'm going to go into the Manaphy. Hopefully the Hippowdon's going to be in range, but I'm not an offensively invested Manaphy. It probably is not going to be in range, and it bounces off. So I think I just hit my webcam. Sorry about that. But it bounces off. And as you can see, the Hippowdon's going to be able to survive with ease. It's probably especially defensive, and he's going to Whirlwind me out, which causes me to take more hazards damage on the Manaphy later on, which, that also is not too great either, as my Magearna is Whirlwinded, and that's not the worst thing in the world, because Magearna is still the biggest threat I have remaining to his team, and if he's not a Choice Scarf Infernape, Magearna actually still wins the game. So there's definitely a way to win this game for sure, as he's going to sack off his Hippowdon. Now here he's pressed with a decision. He can either go into his Mega Latias or into his Infernape. If he noticed, earlier on in the game that my Magearna was scarfed, then I don't know. I think he would go. I think he probably should have gone Infernape here either way, regardless. But I think, like I was saying earlier, I think this was almost definitely a Reflect type Mega Latias, and this play kind of confirms it to me, as he just goes hard into Mega Latias. I guess he just didn't notice earlier on in the game when my Magearna switched out early, before a Suicune switched out, or maybe he just thought I was naturally faster. I'm not entirely sure, but either way, we're going to be able to pick off the Mega Latias, so that's cool. He's going to just give us a Pokemon, as here he goes into his Infernape. Now here, I could preserve Magearna, but if I did preserve Magearna and just go into my Groudon, I'd be knocked out due to spikes plus rocks plus the sun boosting his Flare Blitz, and I'd die. If I go into my Manaphy on this turn, then I'm going to be weakened down into range of another Flare Blitz after I come in on hazards one more time, and all he really has to do is switch from his Infernape into his Evoltal on my Manaphy, and then I would lose the game anyways at that point. So my only real way to win this game was with Groudon, in my opinion. Magearna was not going to be able to win this game if it was a Choice Scarfed Infernape, so that's why I opted to go ahead and test the waters to see if he was a Choice Scarfed Infernape. and then go from there. So what did turn out to obviously be a choice scarfed Infernape, but outsped my Magearna, so that's obviously pretty unfortunate. Manaphy is able to pick off the Infernape though here at the very end. All he now has left, I believe, is his Yveltal. I still have my Manaphy at pretty much no health left, and I still have my Groudon, which may or may not be able to actually take a hit from this after the extra spike and the rocks and all that. So I'm going to just go for the knockoff just to give my Groudon the maximum chance to survive a hit from this, as this will obviously power down his potential Dark Pulse or Oblivion Wing, whatever he tries to go for. And just kind of looking at the amount of health this thing is at, I might be able to knock this thing out with my Groudon. I'm not sure on what the roll is because I don't know what his investment is, but I do think I have a chance here. I should be able to live any hit from this thing for sure. But, you know, we're just going to have to see what this comes down to. This is 1v1. This is for the game. Stone Edge gave me the best chance of winning this game. If I can crit the Stone Edge, if I can get a high roll, if I can not get flinched by this Dark Pulse, hey, we might be able to win this game. We're going to go ahead and click Stone Edge. We're going to see that HP bar drop, and it just misses out. Unfortunately, Groudon's not going to be able to take out the Yveltal, and the KC Jirachiefs are going to fall to the Houston Team Rockets in GBA Week 2. So really good game to Randy. You know, I thought he played very well. I'm not going to take away at all from how he played. Obviously, there was a mistake with, you know, sacking off Latias, not noticing Magearna's speed against the Suicune. Assuming he was a speed invested Suicune, that's not guaranteed. But even so, I thought he played well. But just being totally honest, and I'm sure you guys see it too, that game was kind of... not just kind of, it was very annoying. Okay, that game was very annoying. I don't need to go into detail. I am salty, but I'm not going to show you guys that by complaining about it too much more. I've already complained about it too much as is. But, you know, you can't really blame me for being salty about a game like that. But that's Pokemon for you. That's inaccurate moves for you. Sometimes they don't go your way, and there's not a whole lot you can really do about it. But you know what? It's only week 2, not the end of the world whatsoever. There's still 8 more weeks in this season, and a lot more games that we have the opportunity to win. And realistically, we just need to make playoffs. If we make playoffs, we have a chance at a title. That's all that really matters in draft format. So, or at least that's all that really matters when it comes to the GBA in terms of trying to win the league. You just got to make playoffs. There's obviously a lot more that's awesome about the GBA than just winning, but even so, obviously that's the goal for me entering the season, is to win the league. So we got to get ourselves in a position to be able to do that. So once again, good game to Randy. Make sure to check out his side of the match. I'll just have to get him in playoffs, I guess, and I'll probably bring like Earthquake instead of P-Blades and bring like Pen Missile on Scolipede, something like that. You know, I'll have to go to extreme measures, I guess, after something like this happens. But anyways, I'll stop talking about all that. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.